Huangbayu is about a half-hour's drive from Benxi City in China's Liaoning province. The Chinese call this northeastern region Dongbei, but Westerners may know it better as Manchuria. It's a picturesque and mountainous region, though even in rural areas smog hangs in the air. The village stretches through a valley for several miles along a single road. Fields of corn creep up the mountains on either side. Most villagers here, that is, most of the people who are supposed to move into the new green village, are farmers. And the expectation was that they would continue farming after moving in. But understanding how they live is key to answering the question of why these model homes remain empty. When I first entered Huangbayu, I passed cornfields and donkey carts, and then, just across from the local Communist Party offices, I was surprised to see several rows of suburban-style tract homes. The houses were nearly identical, complete with garages. This was the much-vaunted new village designed by William McDonough. The development was eerily silent. Its streets were empty. I talked to about 30 people in Huangbayu. Only one hoped to move in. Nobody else was interested. A 58-year-old villager named Zhao Qinghao helped me understand why.
就是这个地方吧小，不适合农民住。
That is, the yards are big enough to grow food for one family, but not big enough to grow enough food to sell. This is the garden in Zhao's yard. It's wall-to-wall vegetables. His is one of the two families that have moved into the green village. The first day I talked with Zhao, his daughter and granddaughter were visiting from a nearby town. His wife was in the mountains gathering medicinal roots. As we talked, Zhao described another reason local farmers did not want to move in.
就是农民喜欢的养这些小生小狗的，就是维持这个猪了、鸡了、鸭子了，没法养，地方小。
After meeting with Zhao, I visited several village families to get a sense of how they live and work. After all, it was people like these who were expected to leave their old homes for the new development. This is Guo Wangqing. He is 30 years old and lives with his wife and young son in a house he built himself in 1999. He earns his income from growing corn and hazelnuts in plots of land near his home. This is the Yi family. They live in an extended household that includes a husband and wife, their 2 grown sons, a daughter-in-law, and a new baby girl. In their yard they keep ducks and geese. They have chickens, pigs, and 63 cashmere goats. These goats are raised for their hair and are a common sight in the village. Follow a trail from the valley into the mountains and you'll likely run into a shepherd taking his goats out to graze. After seeing all these animals, I could understand why a farming family wouldn't want to move into a smaller house with a smaller yard. I could see the same for another family I met, one that does a different kind of farming. This is the Jiang family. They earn money from the fish ponds in the yard just outside of their house. There were several ponds throughout the village, some much bigger. But here they have 20,000 rainbow trout, many of which are higher-priced golden trout, a new product, they told me. They sell the fish to buyers from as far as Beijing, more than 400 miles away. On the road through Huangbayu, I met Lu Binyuan tending his cattle. He was the most prosperous farmer I encountered. He owns a significant amount of cropland and raises beef cattle, a relative rarity in the village. And he rents the ponds next to his home to fish farmers. I asked him how the village has changed during his life. He told me the main change was in money, and that the villagers could now afford to build themselves sturdy homes that protected them from the elements. Back in the green village, I talked with Zhao about why he moved there. His reason is not a happy one. He and his neighbors in the new village were also neighbors in their old homes, a 30-minute walk away. But in May 2006, an electrical fire burned down their houses. Their only option was to move into the new development. Government officials struck a deal with the developer, giving him a down payment for each house so the two families could move in.
政府我看这种是这个党还我说是还是好党的，我就因为说对穷人确实关心照顾，我这是说心里话。
But I learned that the physical design of the houses isn't the only reason villagers don't plan to trade in their old homes. Living in the model village requires making a career change.
哎，因为就是我要求就是不是我要求，和大伙儿都说，就是意思是你有厂矿了，哎，农民都能来上班了，男女都能来上班的，都是活干，有钱花他就来了。
This is a point several villagers made. They would be willing to move in if they could be guaranteed a good job with a good wage, and they expected the new community to include jobs.
农民他根本承受不了，他要那玩意儿10万8万的，他有那房子，我来那住多好啊！你什么都能养活，行什么都随便，我的小院儿那这个干啥那干啥我都能种上。你来这呢，他没干闲的，他没活干，他不干闲的。
And so the houses remain, neatly laid out but lacking the one thing any community needs to come to life: people.